Hi, I'm Del Noble, I'm with Beatcast TV and I'm with Frank Turner in Kingston. How are you, Frank?
I'm very well, thanks, Del. It's very nice to be in Kingston on a nice sunny day.
I was very well prepared.
These things come naturally to me.
Excellent. Okay, so why are you here? What are you doing?
I'm playing a Reading warm-up show at the new slang night at McCluskey's Club Night, which is over there, and is not a club night that usually has gigs in, but tonight, as last year, it will have me in it.
It does have gigs.
Does it?
We have bands every week.
Well, okay, it doesn't feel like a kind of punk venue.
No, you're right there. No, you're right there.
Okay, and then so I'm playing tonight, and my very, very good friends Fake Problems are playing tonight as well, which I'm very excited about.
Stuff.
And Dave House, I believe, is playing as well. So I think it's going to be a fun evening all round for family and friends.
Good times. So yeah, Fake Problems, you say they're good friends. Was that from touring in America?
Yeah, they took me out in the States a couple of times. And Casey Lee, who's their guitarist, runs a label called Good Friends Records, who put out a vinyl of campfire punk rock for me in the States. And they're loads of fun, and they're a great band, and I miss them day in, day out. Last time I saw them all together, I ended up getting a tattoo of Texas on my arm because we were all really, really hammered. And Casey got one as well, so I'm looking forward to seeing him and we can compare. He also got "Be Careful" written on his hand. So that was quite an evening.
Fair enough.
I'm not sure if tonight's going to be the same because we're playing in Edinburgh tomorrow. Because
they think they're playing in Reading tomorrow.
They're playing.
Oh, right.
Well, no, I'm playing in Edinburgh tomorrow.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you've done a lot of touring in America this year. Actually, that's pretty much been the main project for 2009, has it not?
Yes.
And you're going back there soon, but
yes. 2 more times before the end of the year, actually.
The big tour was the Offspring tour, wasn't it?
Yes.
How did that go?
It was good. It was weird. Do you know what I mean?
Did it live up to your expectations or surpass them?
I'm not really sure what my expectations were. I spent a lot of time thinking about it. I was, for the first time in quite some time, quite nervous about a tour. I'm not generally nervous about gigs. Just I've done quite a few of them, you know. But that was, and I think the reason I was nervous wasn't, though they were big shows, but it wasn't the size necessarily. It was just that I had no idea what to expect. And you know, I was acutely aware of the fact, as opposed to in the UK, where there's always going to be, almost every gig there'll be some people who'll have some idea of who I am, what I do. There's just nobody. You know, we started in upstate New York, and there was like 8,000 people there, and not one of them had any idea who I was. And I came out with just my guitar. At an Offspring show, where there's a lot of people who think that "Pretty Fly for a White Guy" is their favourite song, you know, and there's me kind of saying, "Hi, I'm going to play some folk music," and so it was pretty uphill, but in the end, it was actually really cool. And you know, in saying what I just said, it's, you know, I stray into territory of being patronising towards Offspring fans, which I really shouldn't be, because they were really open-minded. They were, you know, I'm sure there's plenty of people there who didn't care about what I was doing, but I mean, that's the same for any sports lot. And really surprisingly and gratifyingly large number of people did care, and I had a really good talk.
Awesome. I mean, you say that like not a lot, if any, American people know your music, except I heard a story that Kev from VSM went into a bar somewhere and saw a signed framed poster of you on the wall.
I know exactly where that was. That's in Birmingham, Alabama. Yeah, there's a reason for that. Well, it's not that no American people, but I mean, it's just, you know, it's very much kind of things are starting out for me in the States right now. I mean, having said that, on the days off from the Offspring tour, I was doing headline shows out there, and pretty much all of them we got at least 100 people in, and there are people who knew the words and all this kind of thing. And you know, we were in towns I've never been to, never been anywhere near. We were in Montreal, and 100 people show up singing along, and that was very odd. But I mean, very cool. You know, it was a really good feeling, and it shows that, you know, Epitaph, for my American label, are doing their job, I suppose, in promoting things over there. And it really feels quite exciting, the States, to me at the moment. There's a lot of people getting very excited very quickly about what I do, which is always a good feeling.
Well, it did help that you were on CNN recently, and me.
Yeah. And oh yeah, and lots of people. Yeah, that was pretty weird too. I woke up in the morning to a number of text messages asking me how on earth I'd got on CNN, and I had no idea what they were talking about. Yeah, that was cool. I guess again, that was just an Epitaph thing, and that guy, can't remember his name, Bill somebody, is clearly a fan. And
he did seem pretty expressive about.
Yeah, I'm actually playing on CNN in a couple of weeks' time. They've invited me in to do a session.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you've done lots of stuff in the US. Obviously, you've got a UK tour coming up, as well as loads of American touring, and that's all to support the new album.
Yes, the new album, Poetry of the Deed, which is exciting. You know, in the industry, there is always that time lag between finishing a piece of work and unleashing it, because there's all the promotional nonsense that goes on. Although that's shorter now than it has historically been, it's still can be quite a frustrating time. And actually the thing for me this time round, which didn't really have previous albums, is I found it quite a nerve-wracking time, because even with Love Iron Song, there weren't that many people who were like avidly waiting for it to be released, whereas now there's people all over the world who are avidly waiting for it to be released. And suddenly, you know, I was just got a bit nervous about whether I'd worked hard enough, whether I'd made a good enough record. You know, obviously I put everything I had into the album, but the reality of it is that this is, I mean, make or break putting it too strongly, but this is a very important album for my career in music, and if I've got it right and if I've made a good enough album, you know, the chances of me being a musician for the rest of my life are significantly improved. So yeah, it's quite nerve-wracking, and I'm hoping that people will like it.
So
that sounds totally bland, but
that does kind of link on to a certain blog post that you made yesterday.
Yes, I did.
Put us through the ins and outs.
I posted a blog about various things, mainly actually a spoof news piece that I found quite funny. Ended up in a discussion, and then I posted my thoughts on illegal downloading on my site, and a lot of people seem to think they were quite contentious. Personally, though of course the industry is changing and paradigms are shifting, and it'll be very interesting to see what happens over the next 10 years, the fact remains that something that I have the legal property rights to, that I'm selling, if you take it without paying for it, that is theft, and there isn't really any discussion about that to my mind. I understand that it happens and there's nothing that anyone can really do about it in the long run, but I wasn't really, the point of the post wasn't to say that, you know, we can all stop this. It was just to say that, you know what, I think that's kind of lame that people do that. And most of all, actually, the idea behind the post was to try and just dispel a lot of the kind of excuses that people come up with for doing that. At the end of the day, people do it because it's there and they want to hear the music. And as much as it annoys me because it economically hurts me, that's a fair enough thought process, and I don't think that makes people evil. What annoys me is when people start talking like it's some kind of crusade against the big labels or David Geffen or Britney Spears. It annoys me, you know, when people sort of go, oh well, I'm going to buy a t-shirt and come to a gig anyway, you know, and annoys, you know, oh it's fine. Just when people sort of think it's fine, it doesn't affect me. You know, my last album cost £40,000 to record. Do you know what I mean? I don't have 40 grand lying around to just make a record to give to people, and you know, and I don't make that much money out of touring in a year either. So you know, it's just this idea that I live some sort of life of leisure where I can just afford to give away the produce of my hard work, my time, and my money is anathema to me. One of the responses that people came with is, oh, you know, you're all about the money and blah 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 and all this kind of thing. Now you see, the thing is, I would prefer to state it by saying I'm a grown-up. Do you know what I mean? I don't survive off a trust fund or a major label or my parents. I pay my way in life. I'm a working person. I'm not particularly well off, and I don't think I ever will be from this work, but I don't sponge off anybody else to live, and to do that I need to make money with what I do. And if people think that makes me a sellout, my response is to say, I guess ideals come pretty cheap when you live in your parents' basement. Do you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, call me back when you're paying your own taxes, you know? And then also, I mean, even more than that, being self-employed is always a more kind of, it can be a much more rewarding experience, but it's certainly, you know, it's a more challenging and more difficult experience than, you know, working for a state institution or something like that. I guess the point of the post and the thing that I'm exercised about is that as an independent economic actor, I'm defending my right to make a living out of the work that I do. And it's a sadness to me that there's a lot of people out there who don't seem to grasp even the basics of that discussion. And I guess my blog is an attempt to say my piece on that and maybe try and explain to people a little bit better about where I'm coming from with it. Yeah. And the thing is, I think most people's responses to it, even if they disagreed, at least sort of, you know, gave me a time of day for it. There were a couple of people who were just like, fuck you, man. And it, you know, those kind of people, there's nothing you're really going to be able to say to them anyway, because they're not really trying to engage in any kind of intellectual debate anyway. And well, this is in fact one of my other points. They don't know what they're talking about. There's an awful lot of ins and outs of the economics of the music industry. You know, when these people kind of going, albums don't cost things to make, it's kind of like, do you know what cross-recoupability means? Do you know what the difference between mechanical and a publishing royalty is? Do you know what I mean? Don't fucking sit here and tell me what, you know, what my overheads are and tell me what my fucking business structure is. Do you know what I mean? It's my fucking life. Anyway, so I get annoyed about it. It caused a lot of flack. I spent most of yesterday just basically being bombarded with people from all ends of the spectrum. But I said my piece and I read the blog back this morning, and I stand by everything I said. Do you know what I mean? I really do. So,
fair enough.
Basically.
Cool. Well, that was putting us through the ins and outs of it then.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I don't often like to ask about previous back in the years kind of thing, but A Song to Ruin,
Yes,
re-released recently.
Yeah.
Obviously, kind of you had to touch on that.
No, it's a fair question. Yeah.
Now, between sort of now and then, what would you say has changed in, say, like your songwriting, things like that? I mean, obviously, in a band it's completely different. But
yeah, but I mean, everything really. That is the answer to that. Just because, for me, the period when I first started playing solo shows and first started writing songs totally on my own and playing them out was the most incredible, steep and sharp learning curve. You know, because in Million Dead, it's almost, I feel like we were writing music in Million Dead, whereas I write songs now, in a way. You know. That's with no disrespect to what we did with that band. I'm very proud of everything we did, but it was kind of a different aim, a different process, all the rest of it. And it's now I'm much more considered about trying to write a kind of an artistic whole, you know, rather than just kind of like a bunch of riffs and then put some vocal over it kind of thing. Okay. So that's kind of a big change in it. But yeah, I mean, well, my entire life is totally different. But I'm glad we did the re-release because that album wasn't really available. Yeah. And now it is, and that's a positive thing for the world, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember reading an interview ages ago, I don't know if you remember this, but obviously when you were in Million Dead, writing lyrics and things, you said that you never really wanted to write a love song, and now...
Yeah, no, totally. Well, that was part of that band. I was very interested in trying to kind of... Well, I mean, I suppose in that band I yacked on about trying to write about a myriad of different subjects, but I basically just wrote about politics, though I would have denied it at the time, because I was an arsehole. But, yeah, you know, now... I don't know, I just feel like kind of limiting yourself in any way is really kind of boring. And I also just kind of like, I think that a big part of my life, both in my music and in my politics and everything else, and in my life, is I've just kind of stopped being quite so kind of dazzled by the idea of trying to be radical and new. I don't, you know, and that's in everything. I'm not trying to kind of reinvent the wheel. With my songwriting now, I'm just trying to write good songs. I'm not trying to write super cutting, wow, zing-zang original songs. I just want them to be good songs. And, you know, similarly with my politics, it's kind of like I'm uninterested in trying to prove to all the girls I'm trying to sleep with that I'm fucking Che Guevara, and blah, blah. You know, do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, it gives a shit, just talk about how life really is. So yeah, that's kind of that's I guess why I started kind of writing about that kind of material, is just that it's pretty classic. You know, if you write about the things that emotionally exercise you, I suppose your love life comes pretty near the top of that list for pretty much anybody, I'd say. You'd agree with me there, wouldn't you, Dal?
Yeah. Oh, my love life.
Oh, your love life.
That's not for now.
Later.
So yeah, I think on that note, Frank's going to play a couple of tunes for us. Are you not?
I am, yeah.
A cappella.
Shall I say?
With the spoons.